Hey, 1, 2, 3 into the fold. The next, nah, it's not good. It's not cool.
No.
All right, fuck it.
Nah.
All right, welcome back. Episode 3 of the Next Man Up Sports Podcast. I am one half of the dynamic duo that is Bobby G and Shaka.
Yes, sir. How y'all doing?
Thank you for tuning in to the first 2 episodes. We appreciate everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe. Lots to get into for this episode. The universe gave us a show, so we got Jake Paul in the Tyron Woodley fight.
Yeah.
Cam Newton surprisingly cut by the New England Patriots.
Is it a surprise?
To some people.
I feel like I talked about it in our power rankings.
To some people. You just said they were going to be bad.
Because I told you, I'm like, Cam Newton is not. He's not.
He was a bridge, but we'll get into that. And Ben Simmons, NBA news. Ben Simmons demanded a trade from the Philadelphia 76ers.
Officially,
Yeah, so we'll talk about that, but we'll kick it off with a little bit of boxing, since
if you want to call it that, yeah.
We're both boxing enthusiasts, but it's not really a whole lot to talk about boxing, but we got something to talk about thanks to Jake Paul, who defeated Tyron Woodley split decision.
Mm-hmm.
We both tuned into the fight. It was to me, it was entertaining. I wouldn't mind seeing those two guys go at it again.
It definitely was not a bad fight.
No, I mean, for what it was.
Yeah, like even if you're a boxing fan, there was a lot of technical work. There was good striking. It was a good fight from a boxing standpoint.
When Woodley did punch, he looked effective. You just got to let them hands go. He was walking around there like Ivan Drago in the first round, like, But from Jake Paul's standpoint, like, I know a lot of people think it's a gimmick, think he's making a mockery of the sport. But from actually seeing this fight and him having extended rounds, because the first 2 fights went one round, 2 round.
Yeah, they were both first round knockouts, I think.
Right. So actually getting to see his technique, his skill, like say he's only been taking it serious for the last 3 years. As a novice boxer, it looks like he's been taking it serious for 3 years. Of course, he's not polished. There's things he missed. Footwork still needs work. But you could see him trying to throw combinations, trying to move around the ring properly. Like, he looks like a beginning boxer.
Yeah, I'd say that Jake Paul, to his credit, looks like a good amateur.
Yeah.
And to some people, they might find that distinction of me being like, oh, he's an amateur, as an insult. And it's like, no, if you understand boxing, it's that you have to go through being an amateur.
Exactly.
Like, that's actually a distinction in and of itself.
Right.
Is that you have to get your amateur card and you have to get your pro card. Like, you have to work for that. He looks like a solid amateur. I don't know.
Here comes the boom.
I don't know if I can call him a boxer, man. He's a brawler for sure. That's a dude I feel few people in his weight class would want to see in an alley.
And that's the thing that now when we talk about, he weighs 190 pounds. That's what he came to the fight as. I think he walks around a little bit heavier than that. But now you're talking about somebody who would be in the light heavyweight division. From that standpoint, now you're talking about,
he ain't fighting Tyron Woodley.
You're talking about Deontay Wilder. You're talking about Tyson Fury. You're talking about about a weight class of guys been doing this for a lifetime. No way he survives a fight with a true heavy or light heavyweight.
Or even a cruiserweight. I mean, because even if you take it down a couple steps and go towards like maybe an Anthony Joshua, who's still on the he's still good. He's big for a fight with Jake Paul, but he's small for the current heavyweight class.
Right. Or even say a fighter like Canelo. Canelo fights at 165.
Canelo would absolutely obliterate Jake Paul, regardless of the weight differential.
Absolutely.
Canelo would beat the dog shit out of Jake Paul. Like, I'd love to see that fight just to see a masterclass in what Canelo can really do against somebody that has no idea what they're doing.
It would be no masterclass. It would be a 30-second fight at best.
What, pistol whipping a blind kid? And again, for people tuning in, this is not a shitting on Jake Paul, because I'm not. It's just that, again, he's a great amateur.
Yeah, when you take it for what it was,
he's not a pro.
My thing is,
he's not even fighting pros.
I know he catches a lot of flack, for people think he's making a mockery of the sport. But to me, I look at it this way. A lot of fighters, and Tyron Woodley himself even spoke on it, are under the thumb of the UFC, capped at what they can make. A lot of guys who fight in that octagon also have second jobs because they don't make what even a middle class boxer would get for being on a Mayweather undercard.
Right.
Jake Paul is showing these guys another avenue to make revenue. Catchphrase. Imagine this. Imagine being younger, and instead of seeing a Muhammad Ali have to take fights at the end of his career just to make money, a la the Larry Holmes fight. Larry Holmes didn't even want to fight Ali.
Right.
Because he knew, like, just at your age, it's not a match. Right.
This isn't fun.
Right. Imagine Ali being able to participate in an exhibition, still get a paycheck, and some kid who's never seen him fight get a chance to see. Or imagine how many kids were just introduced to a Mike Tyson or Roy Jones who fought a few months ago. Dad, why are you so hyped about this fight? Oh, let me show you why. And now they're introduced to the history of the sport. Maybe they fall in love with the sport and the sport grows.
So you think that Jake Paul and Logan Paul and this movement of kind of fringe boxing, like this outside the lines boxing, outside of the normal way, the WBA, WBO, WBC, blah 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 blah, like the too many WBs. You think that this is a positive for?
Absolutely.
Do you think it's a positive for the boxing game? Do you think it's a positive for the fight game? Do you think it's a positive for both? Or which one? Like, where do you see this as a positive? Because to me, again, like, I'm still kind of on the fence of feeling like this is like some AEW shit. Like, it's all American, all elite wrestling or whatever it's called, where it's like, yeah, there's going to be a spectacle, and yeah, it's going to draw crowds because it's going to be obnoxious and it's celebrity fighting, but it's like, I mean...
But it's giving you another way to take control. I mean, look at the way. I mean, over the last. I'm
gonna say something super controversial real quick. I'm gonna apologize. I'm apologizing to you for cutting you off. I'm gonna apologize for saying that's something that's gonna be super controversial. I already know it's controversial, and please let me try to reference this for people that are gonna only hear part of this and take it out of context and try to at me. I would appreciate this style, this Jake Paul, Logan Paul, this off-brand boxing stuff more if I didn't grow up in a generation that had Celebrity Deathmatch on MTV. For the young guns out there that are too early for the 90s, man. We already had this.
You had it, but it was fake.
It didn't matter. It was better.
Not really, though.
We had Celebrity Deathmatch. Whenever you wanted to see your two celebrities fight, it was claymation, but I mean, I've already seen this. And again, that's why I'm saying I don't want it to be controversial. Like, I'm not saying that they need to take it to like Celebrity Deathmatch points, obviously. But I'm like, I'm also bored by it because I'm like, I don't care. I don't care about seeing some YouTube star fight somebody. I don't care how much him and his brother have done everything they can, and to their credit, man, to the Paul brothers' credit, they have somehow gotten the entire narrative off of all of their controversies, including them taking films in the Suicide Forest. Like, the fact that they have just gotten people to forget about that. Okay. I haven't, clearly. But I haven't. But
somebody's got to be first. Yeah. Like, somebody has to put themselves out there. I'll take it to another dimension. Let's go hip hop. Uh-huh. Everybody hated on Soulja Boy when he first broke. They hated him. Soulja Boy's ruining hip hop. He's bad for hip hop, not justifiably. But you know what was going? You know what was going on with every artist at that time?
No, he was bad for hip hop.
But do you know what was going on with every artist at that time? Their sales were dropping. The labels are making money, but the artists aren't. Soulja Boy opened up new revenue streams, ringtones, streaming. Like, he's the godfather of the way hip hop is today. So it's like for as much.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because I mean,
artists are back to making money again.
I could argue that. Like,
look at Drake.
The state of hip hop right now.
Drake will probably
Drake
be.
Is Drake. Drake been doing Drake.
He'll be a billionaire one day though.
Drake been doing Drake things for 15 years. Just like Rihanna's a billionaire, she been doing Rihanna things for 15 years.
She's not hip hop.
Jay-Z been doing Jay-Z things for 30 years.
And he suffered through the same thing. When album sales dropped, he had no answer. Again, it was Soulja Boy that showed all these guys the new wave on how to get paid. So as far as the fight game, it's Jake Paul and Logan Paul. The same thing. Just because it's them, everybody's gonna hate. In 5 years, when Floyd Mayweather puts together a stable of boxers at the end of their careers to do exhibitions, everybody's gonna praise him for giving these guys a new way to make revenue instead of putting their lives on the line in full-fledged fights. I guarantee you.
It'll be a different boxer. I don't.
It'll be Floyd because Floyd's the money man.
He's too narcissistic and egomaniacal.
No, Floyd likes money.
No, he loves money.
Exactly. That's why it'll be him.
But one of the things he hates, the only thing that he values, and this again, I've hung around with, the only thing that he values more than money is like hating not being the spotlight. To where it's like even if it's at the cost of him, if he's putting together a showcase, which you're talking about,
right?
Floyd Mayweather presents. That's why he couldn't even get behind his own strip club. That's why his own strip club failed, because people didn't know it was his strip club. Yeah. Because he's that type of dude where it's like if he's not front and center, promo billing, everybody knows this is me. He's not doing it, but I'm not disagreeing with you in terms of like that. Yeah, they're bringing a different revenue stream. They're bringing a different opportunity to boxers.
Yeah, it's only because they're him that they're receiving this backlash.
But also going with it, it's like, you know, if you want to give it that Soulja Boy reference, like it was that good for, again, it's your question was it good? I'm like, it wasn't good for hip hop.
It is from an artist standpoint.
It was good for entertainment. That's what I'm saying. No, it wasn't good for hip hop. So again, we're talking about boxing. So for the fight game of boxing, if you're a person that loves boxing, as I grew up with it my whole life, I'm a former boxer. Like, I love boxing. I lived and breathed boxing. This is atrocious. This is like the most egregious thing that you could think of when it comes to, if you want to represent my sport to the world, this is not it. This is not like this. It's not some showcase of bullshit. That's why it's called. It's a beautiful game for a reason. It's one of the hardest things to learn.
But it's not BS.
To where I'm saying, it's like anybody that puts on some gloves and steps in the ring can call themselves a boxer. Doesn't mean that they are. So for the game of boxing, what Jake Paul, Logan Paul, Tyron Woodley, Escree, and all these other dudes are doing, like cool. You're putting extra fights out there. You're putting fights that aren't UFC. You're putting fights that aren't sanctioned by the WBO. Like you're putting other options out there. Is it good for the sport?
Yes.
That to me is debatable. Is it good for the entertainment? Is it good for bringing attention to it? Like a Soulja Boy. Soulja Boy wasn't good for hip hop. Was he good for the entertainment aspect of hip hop? Absolutely.
It's all entertainment.
Is he a hip hop artist?
All balled together,
bro. Soulja Boy is not
like
a hip hop artist or a rapper at all.
Yeah, rappers don't go on tours, stand on the mic or the stage. They entertain. Like it's all entertainment. Their songs are entertainment. The lyrics are entertaining.
Their songs have something to do with shit.
They're also entertaining.
There's nothing in those lyrics. There's nothing that he's saying. I hate that I know it.
But guess what? You know it.
Because I was in college when it came out. I'm dating myself.
No, songs were around in college when they came out, and I don't remember.
I remember being in college, man.
Like he was an influence.
I was in college in Arizona, and it was probably the most shameful moment of my life. Was like, I'm just chilling. And it's me, my boy Randy, and one of my other homeboys. And actually, we're I'll say this as delicately as I can, ethnic ones at the party. So naturally, all these other people were like, "Yo, can y'all teach us how to do the Soulja Boy?" And I'm like, "What the fuck makes you think I know how to do the Soulja Boy?" Because I'm a black nigga. Like, what?
Yeah, because you're black.
And unfortunately, I didn't know how to do it. It was kind of one of those like racist moments. I was like, I mean, yeah. I know. I don't want to. I wish I didn't know to make you feel bad. But since I do, and you, all right.
Yeah, you hit
but
that.
Again,
is
it hip hop? No. Is it entertainment? Absolutely. Is this boxing? Like all the way back. Is this boxing? No. Is it entertainment? Absolutely.
But it is boxing. Amateur, exhibition, boxing.
And in a very technical term, WWE has shades of being jiu-jitsu.
Nah, but there was no predetermination of this.
WWE is also technically.
There was no predetermination of this. There was no story. Jake Paul won that fight. He went out and he won it. It wasn't predetermined.
Wait, are you saying that wrestling is fake? You just said predetermined.
Yeah. I'm a wrestling fan. Get out of here. But from that aspect, like, just like NBA players, you could say over the last 10 to 15 years, have taken a bigger control of the NBA than players had in the past.
Absolutely.
This is opening the door to where fighters can actually control the fight game at some point in time. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but all of this money's being made, all of these events are taking place, and guess what? There's no WBO, there's no WBA, there's no associations. They're opening doors. And now we're getting to see fights we want to see. We people wanted to see Mayweather fight Pacquiao 75 years ago. Tyson Holyfield. Granted, Mike Tyson did a little stint in prison, but people like fights don't take place when people want to see them. There's too many politics, promoter BS. Like these guys are actually showing you can control your career. You can control what goes in your pocket. And you don't need these promoters. You don't need these boxing associations to tell you how and when and who you got to fight. Just go get it. And that's where I think it's good for boxing. It's also bringing interest.
But it's not bringing it. You're not where it's not good for boxing though is that you're never going to bring a real boxer into it. Like,
but yeah, what about the Priest?
As much as we can talk about wanting to see Canelo face either of the Paul brothers, he's never going to do it.
No, he doesn't have to. But there's some fighter out there who's barely got a name who could do it, who can make his name bigger.
So then that comes to the point of like how do you legitimize it? Because you're gonna have to have an athlete in the UFC or boxing that is a champion, that's at the top of their game, that's willing to take a fight from one of these guys to legitimate their sport.
Not necessarily one of these guys. It's just going to take a name to get behind it.
If they just keep fighting each other, we can have all these, like if Jake Paul keeps fighting the Tyron Woodleys and the Eskreens, and let's say McGregor after he retires he fights him too, and
right.
Mayweather after he retires he fights him too, and Pacquiao he fights him too.
Briefly interrupt. Since you said McGregor, let me correct myself. Conor McGregor cracked the door open. These guys pushed it open. So they kind of finished with because McGregor really started the whole thing when he fought Mayweather. So I just correct myself on that. We'll give him credit for being in the beginning, and these guys for seeing what was there and taking the next step.
So like as much as he did though, it was like McGregor, and mind you, if you think back to 2016 when that fight happened, 2017 when that fight happened between McGregor and Mayweather,
right?
Mayweather he retired the year before.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor was coming off of a championship win in the UFC. Conor McGregor was willing to vacate in his prime a championship title to take an exhibition fight with Mayweather. That's what he had to do in order to try to legitimize himself. He had to sacrifice a belt. Canelo is not giving up his belt to go and fight Jake Paul, nor is he going to put his belt on the line to fight a YouTube star.
But again, he doesn't have. Let's get rid of it.
How do you ever?
McGregor didn't vacate that stuff for
legitimize this third string of fighting.
McGregor didn't vacate that stuff for.
No, he vacated.
He vacated for $100 million.
Yeah, for $100 million, $200 million, whatever it was. I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying
to which he's flipped to.
I'm saying either way, it's like regardless of the money aspect, you're not going to have guys from UFC or pro boxing that are going to be willing to either sacrifice a belt to go and fight some up and comer on this third string thing,
right? But it doesn't have to be that.
Be willing to put their belt on the line. Why am I even gonna put myself at risk of taking an injury? Even if we take the belt off of it, and it's just for money. If I'm Canelo fighting, I think Logan, because he's closer in size. I think he runs at like 170. If I'm Canelo, why am I gonna fight Logan Paul?
Again, he doesn't have it. You keep not even in the top of the food. The guy at the top of the food chain
because
doesn't.
That's what I'm saying. Is
no,
like,
right? But listen,
that's the only way to legitimize.
No,
this
it's not.
Because
the guy at the top of the food chain just needs to back it.
Hold on. So this is where I'm gonna be a bit of a sports almanac. How did the NFL, as we understand it now, come to be? Was the fact that, however, there's conspiracy theorists about it, but it was the fact that the New York Jets won Super Bowl one.
No, it was Pete Rozelle doing everything behind the scenes to promote it.
But what I'm also saying is that the fact that the AFC won legitimized their stake, or the AFL, not the AFC, the AFL won that initial AFL NFL game, right, which is why it was called the Super Bowl, was that they each had their own championships. As you know, the Browns ran the AFL for years.
Yeah.
So it was like, your champion versus our champion. It was, this being the NFL was the established, this is who we actually accept as the American people as the champion. You guys are trying to come in.
Right, but that was Super Bowl number 3, not 1 though.
Okay, not
they had already.
But what I'm saying is like it took the Jets and Joe Namath winning to validate the fact
the AFC
the AFL, that the AFL deserved to be in the NFL, because
which turned into the AFC.
Some of the teams from the AFC, but yes. But what I'm saying is that when that merger happened, people didn't believe in the merger. They believed they were taking on a weaker league in the AFL until the Jets won in Super Bowl 3. Then it was
right.
like, oh no, these teams from this new league can actually compete. No boxer or UFC fighter is going to give one of these, internet guys a chance at that same level of validation. Like, you're not going to come and have a chance like the AFL did to play for my Super Bowl. You're not going to get into a ring with me.
We're coming from two different angles. And I said, you're talking about getting in the ring, but you're missing the big picture. Yes, everything you said about the Jets was true, but guess what? Take away that Super Bowl, and the NFL is exactly what it is today because of who got behind. Yes, it is. Who got behind it, and that's where I'm coming from. Canelo doesn't have to get in the ring, but if Canelo puts money behind it, it can take off. If Floyd puts money behind it, and it's giving these guys something the boxing associations can't. Yes, it will take off, and it will be around for a while.
And this is where I feel like we're at an impasse, so to speak. Is that, again, I believe that what these guys are doing, because again, I watched the fight with you. I watched the last couple of fights. As you will admit to anybody, as I'll admit, begrudgingly, I didn't want to. I didn't want to watch any of these damn fights, but I understand that you have to keep up with trends, even if you don't like them. You got to know what everybody's doing to see what they're doing, and again, from a fight standpoint, this is not beneficial to the fight game.
Yeah.
It's not adding new talent. It's not showcasing new skill that we didn't know was there. It's not like these guys.
It's in infancy though, so you can't really say that. Did you know who Tyron Woodley was before this weekend?
Yes,
I didn't. So it's opened me up to
I guess
something new.
I can get that point because I'm a fight fan, so it's like I knew who he was.
Right, I did not.
Okay, and that's what I'm saying. It's not good for boxing. It's absolutely not good for the sport. It's fantastic for entertainment because again, it'll bring a lot of people in that don't ordinarily care about boxing to where in that way you can say it's good for the sport. It's not good for the sport. It's good for the revenue.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
it's good for the revenue for the fighters, which they don't get a lot of right
now. Watching Jake Paul fight Tyron Woodley, it was like, it wasn't an entertaining fight. Yes, from a boxing standpoint, it was atrocious. Like it was god damn awful.
But is it different? What's different from watching them than watching any other two amateurs? Watching amateur anything is god awful.
But again, are we paying pay-per-view prices for amateurs?
Well, I didn't pay anything, so
I mean, Touche. I mean, but there were millions. I wouldn't say millions, but hundreds of thousands at least
millions
of people that paid pay-per-view prices for an amateur fight. As you just said, I'm not paying for amateur fights.
But they wanted to be entertained, and you said the key word. It was entertaining.
But
mark that one up for me.
No, that's not enough for you because it's not good for boxing. I've been admitting the whole time. I'm like, it's good for the entertainment. It's not boxing.
All right, but you know what you need in boxing?
What?
A good cut man.
Good cut man.
Yeah.
So who would be your best cut man?
Cam Newton.
The man who just got cut.
Cam Newton.
I don't think he's good at repairing cuts, man. I don't know if that's the guy you want in your corner.
But get
in the way. How do you lose out a roster spot to Mac Jones, the dude who looks like all he's eating is mac and cheese every meal his entire life, and that's who you lose your roster spot to. And spoiler, he's a rookie.
So if you're I'm sure.
Spoiler, a former MVP.
Because I'm sure you've heard by now, NFL Cut Day has been taking place over the last 48 hours. A victim of the cut day was Cam Newton, who, of course, he started all 3 preseason games for the New England Patriots.
He was doing this before. He got
actually didn't perform bad in any of the preseason games. He had a very solid preseason. But at the end of the day, Bill Belichick decided to go with, again, rookie first-round pick Mac Jones from Alabama. I think it was a respect thing, partially. I think that had a little bit to do with it, because
respect to who?
The kid, like he could have kept him as a backup.
Who?
Cam Newton. He could have kept him on the roster as a backup. It's the NFL. Things happen. Injuries happen. But as a respect thing, here's an opportunity, go get another job if you can as a starter and let him go. So I partially think it was a respect thing. A lot of people think it could have been because, as most people know, Cam Newton isn't vaccinated. And remember, at the beginning of this week, he was out because of miscommunications with the testing protocols. So he missed an entire week of practice, in which gave Mac Jones a chance to show out because they had joint practice against the Giants. Mm-hmm. And apparently during one of his live practices, he went 32 for 35 against the Giants and then played well in the following preseason game. So a lot of people think, like, Cam missing that week, hey, it's almost like college. Don't let a freshman take your spot. Right. He gave the freshman a chance to take his spot.
Shout out old school heads.
Loving basketball.
Shout out. For our older fans listening in.
Right. He gave the freshman a chance and he took his spot. But what are your thoughts on it?
I feel like it's I hate to say this, but I think it might be the end of his career. I know there was some speculation out there that has something to do with his vaccination status.
Right.
And obviously you have teams with coaches that are new to the NFL, like Urban Meyer down in Jacksonville, saying too much about, like, you know, them cutting guys and that being part of why it is that they cut guys. And Bill Belichick definitely said that wasn't why.
Right.
And I can't look at Cam Newton's performance over the last 18 months and argue against that. I can't say that it has anything to do with, you know, his vaccination status, whether he is or isn't. He just hasn't performed. And I was saying this to you when we were doing our power rankings. Again, I had the Patriots as my 30th ranked team because it is. Because I'm looking at it and I'm like, they don't have a good team. They don't have a lot of options. I was saying before, especially if it was Cam Newton, I'm like, I can't see them winning 5 games with Cam Newton.
Right.
Him being cut like this from the Patriots, I can't see another team. Maybe his career's not over. Maybe he goes somewhere as a backup. You know, follows maybe like a Teddy Bridgewater route.
Okay.
I just think it's going to be tough sledding because, again, both last year and this year, his biggest flaw, which we saw, you know, obviously during the 2016 Super Bowl against the Broncos, is that he struggles at times to be a legitimate starting quarterback.
Right.
And I think the teams have seen that, and he's been exposed to that, not only with Carolina, but then leaving and going to New England and then having a failed experiment in New England. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you know, back-to-back places you've lost your starting job to somebody else. So, I mean, I feel like that's very alarming as to why I don't think it's a good thing for Cam Newton's career that he just got cut. What are your thoughts on? Because I know that you might see it a little bit differently. Because again, you seem to be a bit more high on the on the Patriots and Cam Newton when we were doing our power rankings. So how do you feel like this affects the Patriots moving forward?
I don't think it affects the Patriots. I think Bill Belichick essentially just went with the player that had the higher ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Mac Jones could play any worse than Cam Newton could play. Obviously, he's a rookie, so it's going to be those rookie bumps.
Right.
But, I mean, as far as vaccination, I don't think it didn't play any role in it. I remember he missed time last season because he got COVID.
Yeah.
And, of course, Mac Jones got his opportunity to shine because Cam couldn't practice because of issues with the protocol. So, I don't think it played like a huge percentage. I give it maybe 15, 20%.
So you do think it played a role? You do think it was a factor?
Absolutely. I don't think it was a factor from the standpoint of belief, for lack of a better term. Just believing in the vaccine. Just performance based on you not being vaccinated. Almost like a flu shot.
Okay.
Like, bro, if like the number one ability for all players is availability.
Exactly.
If I can't rely on you to be there for whatever reason, like, I got to go with the guy who I know is going to be there.
So what are your thoughts on the broader conversation then to be had about this? Because if you do think it was like a 15% thing of the vaccination requirements, like factoring into Cam getting cut, and obviously I touched on earlier Urban Meyer talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars and how that factored into their cuts. How do you feel in general?
There's a difference. People talk about coach. There's a difference between an experienced coach and a non-experienced coach. Like, come on.
Don't say those things out loud. Like there's
there's
things
time
you say.
college football. You should know.
Yeah, like there's certain things to just shut up about.
Yeah.
So to the broader conversation then, how do you feel about like the whole, the vaccination rules and regulations and protocols that they have set in place for this upcoming season? Like, what are your opinions on that?
They're doing the best they can.
Do you agree with do you agree with requiring vaccinations in order to, I mean, again, I know that they're not requiring.
The whole losing a check thing, I'm not. Those dudes make a hell of a lot more than I do.
Right.
So I don't know how I feel about losing a couple $100,000 in one day.
Right.
But it's a tough call. Like, if an entire game is forfeited, of course you're costing the league revenue, which is in turn costing the team revenue, which is where your salary comes from. So I get it's just the NFL trying to recoup some of that, but it all comes down to personal beliefs. And I mean, like, I did not take the vaccine. Reason being, I was in the military for 8 years. I got tired of being a pincushion for whatever drug. Like, I'm immune to so much stuff now. Without even knowing the combination of shots that I was given in the military, I probably am COVID vaccinated. But just from that standpoint, like, yeah, I got tired of being a pincushion. And the minute I had the opportunity to say no and couldn't be forced to do something, I was all about it. Now, that's not just to say I ignorantly said no. I did my research and I had my reasons why I didn't. But that played a big part. So it's like, I'm accepting of what society is right now.
All right.
If I want to go out to dinner, take the wife somewhere. Sorry, ladies. Yeah, I am married.
I'm not, by the way.
I want to take the wife out to dinner, and we pick whatever establishment. We get there, and they say, in order to enter, you have to be vaccinated. I respect that. Like, I don't. It's your business. Like, you can conduct it how you want. I can't be against that because it's something I chose. So it's.
So what about when it comes to like the NFL? Because and there's almost a perfect dynamic. Like, for context, I am vaccinated.
Right.
As you know. So it's like, how would you feel Or what would you do if we were on an NFL team together? And it's obviously like, I'm vaccinated, you're not vaccinated, you're taking that stance because of your beliefs. Because I've also stood on that too. Like, I'm not the type of person to push. And I know that there's a lot in the media of people trying to like push, like, oh, convince one friend to go and get vaccinated. And and I mean, I get it. There's a public health crisis. Sharp. There's a public health crisis, and I completely understand that. But I'm also very much of the mindset, whether I'm right or wrong about it, that it is your body.
Right.
I'm that way about, like, across the board. We're not going to get into politics about that, but it's like, I'm not going to take a stance of, which I am, of like saying, like, you know, a woman is free to choose what she does with her body, but then tell somebody else you have to get a vaccine.
Right.
Those can't coexist. Right. I can't be like, oh, well, you can't tell her what to do, I'm gonna tell you what to do. Like, for me, I took the vaccine, same thing. I did my research. I had my reasons for doing it. I had my, you know, my ideologies behind it. But when it comes to being in a professional setting, because obviously me and you, we don't have protocols on what we need for this podcast.
It's good to be your own boss.
Right. Like, but if we were in the NFL and I was, you know, say you were a Cam Newton.
Right.
Like, would that change your stance on whether or not to get vaccinated? Would you want to take that risk of potentially pissing off your teammates because a game gets canceled? Or would you opt to get vaccinated? Like, and I know that's a fucked up question, but that's kind of the question being posed to
it's absolutely the NFL. In every locker room in the league. And there's two ways I come at it. Obviously, we can do this podcast, you being vaxxed and me not.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're outside of the studio, you know 100% I'm being responsible when I'm out there.
Absolutely.
There needs to be a guy in every locker room not vaccinated to hold the other players who are not vaccinated accountable. Like, if you're not going to be vaccinated, dude, take care of yourself.
Right.
Be responsible. It ain't time to go to the strip club.
Right.
Say that for the off season.
Yeah.
It's not time to go to your cousin's birthday party. Like, you're adults.
And it's your job. You're getting paid millions of dollars for it.
It's the same with marijuana. Guys get busted with Josh Gordon.
Yeah.
Like, dude, somebody's going to give me $20 million a year to catch football. All I got to do is not smoke weed. Please believe.
Yeah.
that blunt will wait.
And mind you, it's not
until we are eliminated from playoff contention.
Yeah, that's that's like that one always pissed me off, because like, it's not even like you can't smoke weed. You just have to know when. Don't get high in December.
Right. And I'll tell you, I take it.
Like, we're going for the playoffs, bro.
I think it's the same with the vaccine. The vaccine does not prevent you from catching COVID. So it's the exact same with the players who are vaccinated. Like, dude, we leave this locker room, take care of each other. Yeah. Make sure you're not doing knuckleheaded things. Because if it's one thing, if I know you're taking care of yourself and you just come to contact, like, it happened, you got it. We have to forfeit the game. All right. Mm-hmm. I know you were being responsible, so it wasn't malicious. But, dude, if you're out there just doing whatever, hanging around whoever, not knowing, and you come to miss a game, dude, we got a problem.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not a matter of being vaccinated or not vaccinated. It's just, dude, don't be an asshole.
Yeah, the way I look at it, yeah, I agree with you. I definitely think that would help a lot of these locker rooms, as if you are going to have players that take the stance like a Cole Beasley for the Bills, that's like, I'm not going to get vaccinated. Right. Then okay, agreeing with you, then you need to be the captain of the unvaccinated.
Yeah, and be responsible.
If anybody on that team that's also following your lead, being that you're the most vocal, catches this shit, it's coming out your paycheck, because you're the vocal one. You're the one that's out here, like, and for me, it's, again, for the vaccine thing, and everybody's up in arms about it. You know, it's been such a politically divisive issue, which blows my mind. But it's also because of, like, the facts. Like, okay, if you don't want to get vaccinated in your normal day-to-day life, wear a mask to the store. That's the trade-off. It sucks. I get it. Whatever.
Right. But dude,
when you're coming into work, because I've traveled internationally, as you've obviously traveled internationally, you have to get certain vaccinations. Yeah. Well, I'm, of Nigerian descent. When I go to Nigeria, I have to get a malaria vaccine.
Right.
Because if I don't, I'll get fucking killed. I get stung by a mosquito, it's a wrap. That's something that's stupid. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me not. These aren't American mosquitoes, people. These aren't the little tiny ones. They look like puppies. The size of cats and shit. But it's like that. Like, I have to know if I choose not to get that, then I'm running a risk of getting something that can kill me.
And putting other people at risk.
And yeah, and when I look at it, I'm like, this is your job though. Like, because that's a personal thing. That's a vacation, you know, or going out to a restaurant or going out to like whatever. This is your job.
Exactly.
And it's like, I don't hear people bitching about your job requiring you to wear a suit, having a dress code, not coming to work if you're sick. That's always been a thing.
Right.
If you have the flu back, don't come to work.
Right.
Don't get the rest of your coworkers sick. Why is that different now? Why can't people think about that the same way? Like, yo, if you're gonna take these steps that could potentially put your coworkers at risk,
right,
then we're gonna have to let you know.
Right, and just to take it serious, even with the flu situation, like, dude, you caution yourself there. In the wintertime, you don't go out in tank top and t-shirt.
Exactly.
I mean, I know some crazy white dudes that do, but especially, for the most part.
Man, I was in Iowa seeing these boys playing in a blizzard. I'm like, oh, y'all something else.
Yeah, for the most part, you know, you got on
Vegas,
a scully or a beanie, as some people call it. You got on, you know, your goose, your fleece, whatever. Mm-hmm. You prepare yourself for the environment you're going into. And it's the same with this. Like just like you said, you leave your house, put on a mask. Mm-hmm. Simple. Just throw it on.
It's so simple. Like
stay away from, and this part is more difficult for athletes than a normal person. Mm-hmm. Because especially if you're in your hometown, you're going to get noticed. Oh, hey, there's Stephon Gilmore. Right. See if I can get a picture out. Like, but just be one or two people. Everybody crowds around you. Hey, can we be respectful? You know how to control the crowd. Mm-hmm. If you can control Amari Cooper coming off the line,
you can control
a couple of fans.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just protect yourself.
Right.
And again, same thing, just like a knucklehead kid. Like, if you study for a test and you fail, I can't get mad at you as a parent. Mm. But if you on them video games all day and you on your phone all day and you bring home an F, we got a problem.
Oh, exactly, man. And yeah, everything for both of us. I feel like because it's obviously one of numerous business ventures that we have, and that was when we were thinking about getting employees. The same thing, like, because I know me as an employer, I'd have that stance in a similar way of being like, yo, I don't care. I'm not gonna have you strictly on 8-hour shifts. Just get done what needs to get done. If that only takes you an hour, I'll pay you your full clip.
Right.
Take the rest of your day off. But again, like, if I'm paying you for this and we have a deadline and I come and I'm like, yo, where is this graphic design at? You know, I need this for the site. I need this for whatever. You're like, oh, well, see, what had happened was when my checking and my savings is like, start hitting me with that shit, I'm having problems. So same thing with the NFL and these vaccinations. Like, okay, if you don't want to do that, you don't want to get vaccinated, it's 100% your choice.
Right.
No one can force you to. But this is your job. And this is something that it's like, if you want to take that route, you can't bitch about the consequences.
Right. Because, again, ain't no kids in the NFL.
You're
all grown men.
You're grown men making millions of dollars. And I'm not saying that is a trade-off for your health. I'm not saying that at all. Right. But it's like, if you're agreeing with you, if you're going to make the health choice that, you know, through whatever research, whatever you've done, if you have concerns about health complications as to why you don't want to get a vaccine, that's perfectly fine. But you also have to understand going into your place of work that, as you said, you need to be diligent. You need to be on your shit. You need to, I couldn't agree with you more. Like, yeah, if you're going to take that stance, make sure, like with you, again, you don't want to get vaxxed. You take every precaution when you leave your house.
Yeah, so, as much as I want to go to Hustler, like, I know right now that's not the move.
Don't tempt me, man. We're getting close to the weekend too.
But
I ain't been to a strip club since before the pandemic. Come on now.
On the other side of cuts, we got Cam Newton now. Aaron Rodgers going through his situation in Green Bay. We've had Eli Manning go through a situation. We had Michael Vick go through a situation. We had Donovan McNabb go through a situation. Even on a lower level, let's say Alex Smith. What is it with older quarterbacks? And once upon a time, were allowed to finish their careers and go off into the sunset, whether that be with the team that drafted them or they hit a new destination a la Drew Brees. But what is it with guys really not being allowed to go off into the sunset where they're kind of being forced away?
I think, God, that's a big question.
Because I mean, that seems to be the new trend. Like, even Peyton Manning, who everybody would have, if you locking that $100, I'd bet $1 million Peyton Manning starting and finish his career in Indy didn't happen.
And ironically, he's actually and the weird part is like, this isn't even a joke. He's ironically more identified with now as a Bronco than a Colt, despite the fact that he only spent the last 3 or 4 years of his career with us. So yeah, I think it's just the it's the money. Like, I think that these teams are so
financial.
Yeah, they're so obsessed with trying to win, which you should be. I'm not saying that as a negative,
right?
But a lot of these teams are not built. They're not building to try to win. They're building to try to get sales.
Okay.
They're not building teams to actually compete for Super Bowls. They'll say that. Every team will say that, but you can look up and down their roster, and it's clear. It's like, you guys are not trying to win,
right?
Like, you don't go out and get those guys in the draft or make those, like, we can go through the teams, me and you both, because we've sat here. Like, I think it's part of why we want to start this podcast. Like, what? Why did you make that?
Right.
What are you doing? Like, constantly with numerous teams where I think it's why you're not seeing these quarterbacks, have longer careers or finish their careers out in particular places. It's just that. It's like everybody wants to sell tickets now in a pseudo win now mode.
Okay.
You have the teams that actually want to win. And those are the teams that, as you said, keep their quarterbacks. Tom Brady, regardless of him being with the Bucs now, was with the Patriots for 20 years because they were like, you know what? No. Yeah. We're going to respect our quarterback. We're going to keep him here. Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. He's still there. I don't think he might go somewhere next season. I think he definitely does. But it's like, for me, Russell Wilson leaving is a choice that he's making, as opposed to your question.
Trying to force him out.
So I don't know why teams are pushing these quarterbacks out apart from greed. Like, it's just there's no loyalty in sports anymore. Not that there ever really was. It's always a business. Everybody talks about that, but there's not even like an attempt at it to where like the teams that actually seem to show loyalty have become rare, like super rare.
Yeah.
I mean, across sports. I mean, the only one that pops into my mind as far as a team that has consistently always taken care of its talent is the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA.
Okay.
But as far as why these NFL teams are doing it, I'm sure you have a better thought than I do on that.
And even to a super lesser degree, look at Tony Romo.
Right.
Granted, he lost his job to injury, but it was like he just kind of got put on the shelf and stayed on the shelf.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure that's not the way many Cowboy fans saw Tony Romo finishing his career with the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I think analytics, this analytic wave might have something to do with it. Guys crunching numbers, waiting for this alleged cliff that's been popularized over the last few years.
Thanks, Max Kellerman.
Yeah.
For being so completely wrong about Tom Brady, to where now we're dealing with this every day.
Right. But yeah, so it's I think teams just have like a clock. Mm. Almost the quarterback, to me, the quarterback is going the way of the running back. As recent years, I'd say the last about 10 years, it's just been dead stamped as 30 years old, you're done. And I think quarterbacks starting to hit that 35, 36, 37, and teams just like, yeah, you're done. Like, you can't possibly do anymore. And granted, there are outliers and everything, but it's the elite guys being, again.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like Cam Newton, who nobody would call elite, average to above average QB, but it's Rodgers. It's Eli's not elite, but he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. You're just kicking out of the door.
Right. People forget 5 years ago Cam Newton was the MVP of the elite.
Exactly.
Of the league. That wasn't ancient history.
Right. I think Drew Brees was more or less injury related. Phillip Rivers, just kind of this is maybe the second greatest quarterback in Chargers history, just kind of got kicked out the door.
Yeah, to go do 1 year in Indianapolis, then retire. Why not have that 1 year in San Diego?
Exactly. As good as Herbert was.
I'm sorry, in LA.
As good as Herbert was, he imagine him learning under Rivers for a year.
Right.
So, like, I don't know if I like that direction. So
you think it's more analytics?
I'm old school.
You think it's more analytics than finance based?
It's gonna be a combination of both.
Like money is assessing about
money is always.
Yeah.
But especially the way contracts are going now.
Do you think that we're at a stage in sports where we need to reanalyze or reevaluate what we consider old?
Definitely.
Because, I mean, look at LeBron James.
Right. Guys are taking care of their body. LeBron James spends $1 million a year in the off season taking care of his body. Tom Brady has his TB12 system.
Yeah.
Like, guys are just, they're more...
The menage.
more mentally aware of what they need to do to take care of their bodies.
Because I'm thinking about it, while I was asking that question, I want you to keep going. I was thinking about, again, like the LeBrons, the Tom Brady's, the Aaron Rodgers, these guys that are in there. Obviously, the Brady's in his 40s, but these guys in their late 30s. And I was just thinking about a huge thing that happened in international sports. Mm-hmm. And Cristiano Ronaldo, the best soccer player on the planet, just got transferred or traded. I mean, they used transfer, but it's got moved from Juventus in Italy back to his original team in Manchester United. And what, for me, was like an abysmally low. It was only like $20 million. Mind you, when he left, 12 million. Yeah, but when he left 12 years ago to go to Real Madrid, he set a record transfer fee that they had to pay 80 million pounds to get him. Like, that was like, that's what they have to get. That's not even his contract. Right. That's what they had to pay United on top of. And it's like now that he gets moved for like 18, 20 mil, and it's like, because he's 36.
Right.
You know what he did this morning at 36 years old, a day after signing those? He became the all-time men's international goal scorer because he went and had 2 more goals for Portugal this morning. He's 36.
But he's over the hill.
Right, he's 30. Right. I'm sorry for the loud. Come on, this dude is still the best in the league. He's still the best in the world. Yeah, he's 36. Man, so it's like, do we need to start changing the narrative on what we consider old?
I don't know. I think as ownership groups get younger, because remember a lot of guys in the good old boys club they're getting up there and they're starting to fall off. So I mean, we'll see new owners come in, and we'll see if their way of thinking changes. But got to switch it over and go from one.
Real quick before you switch, I just want a quick answer. Do you like this starting to be new trend with LeBron James, Patrick Mahomes, and Giannis of guys buying, using these huge mega contracts to buy portions of, professional teams? Like Giannis getting a portion of the Brewers and Patrick Mahomes having a portion of the Kansas City Royals.
Right.
Like, do you like that trend? Is that part of what you think is going to help signal that changing of the old guard, as you were saying?
I think it can, if it's taken seriously.
Okay.
If it's just, I want to say, early 2000s, like very late 90s, early 2000s-ish, it became fashionable.
Okay.
To be part of an ownership group for a sports team. And then I'm telling you had Nelly that owned a piece of the Bobcats. You had Jay-Z.
Obviously,
you had
that too.
Usher owned a piece of the Cavs, and I hate his guts for it. Like, we don't play that in Cleveland. We don't play that. You're doing this just for the fun.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, if it's taken serious, we know LeBron has a hand. He literally has a hand in things he invests in.
Yeah.
So obviously, once he's finished with basketball, I have no doubt he'll do his due diligence and try and be as involved as he can be with the Red Sox and with the soccer team he owns.
Yeah.
D Wade, who has taken the Jazz. I mean, you see him at the games. You see he's been at practices, giving instruction to Donovan Mitchell, other players. But like, as long as these guys are involved and they're doing this just not fashionable, yeah, it could help. But if they're just doing it just cause, try and get a quick check, like, no, it's not, like, because then you're not going to be taken serious. And unfortunately, because these guys are black, it's going to look bad.
Right.
For the guys who actually want. Because that's to me, that's what they're trying to usher in. Like, more African Americans in power positions, like in coaching, in the front office, in ownership. So it's like, you got to get in there and get involved. Don't just be on the sidelines, because then you're gonna mess it up for the next guy.
Right.
Like, be Jackie Robinson. Don't be somebody else.
Yeah.
But Speaking of ownership, the Philadelphia 76ers owner got hit with a trade demand from the second best player on the team, Ben Simmons.
I wonder what Daryl Morey's going to do.
Right.
I've not felt like he was good. Go ahead.
I would say no. As soon as they were ousted from the playoffs, there were talks of him being traded. They were talks of him being traded actually before the season started to the Houston Rockets for James Harden. Bet you wish they'd done that now.
Oh, my God.
But now he's come out.
Oops.
Yeah, now he's come out and said he wants to be moved from the team. So what you got on that? Or what some teams you think would be good fits? Because allegedly he wants to go to one of the big three California teams.
He's out of his mind. I mean, the California team that would probably take him is the Kings. That's not the big three he's looking at. It's not the Clippers, Lakers, or Warriors. Obviously, there's no chance in hell he goes to the Clippers or the Lakers. Those teams are full up, especially the Lakers. Like, they're super good.
Yeah, you're not going to get any it's like, who do you move?
Yeah, the Lakers are all the way back to, like, bring the whole – it's like a reunion tour.
Right.
I feel like that's what the Lakers are. They're like the reunion tour of all the old names, all the R&B guys you loved from back in the day.
The only person they're missing is Chris Paul.
Right. They just, yeah, it's like when Boys to Men gets to back together for like one show. Like, look at who they're bringing back. I mean, they got Trevor Ariza, they got Rajon Rondo. They brought back Dwight Howard again.
Melo,
Carmelo. Yeah, they're just this is like it's like that old team.
Jackson 5 victory tour.
Oh my God! Like, these old ass dudes. What are y'all doing? It's like, hey, let's go try to get one more and go off into the sunset. So anyway, Ben Simmons ain't going nowhere near LA. Let's just say that. As far as like him going, I mean, the Warriors are intriguing. I was looking at some of the trade rumors around that, potentially giving up Andrew Wiggins and James Wiseman, along with a couple picks to get Ben Simmons.
Right.
I hate that trade. Mostly because I like James Wiseman more than I like Ben Simmons as far as a scheme fit for the Warriors.
Right.
I don't believe Ben Simmons would be bad on the Warriors, especially if he's willing to adjust his role. If he's willing to be a stretch 4 starter and a backup center, like being like a 0.5.
He can't do that.
I'm saying like not playing center. I mean like a 0.5. Like when we go small ball, you're gonna have to be with your 6'10" ass.
He can't bang for that long.
That's why I'm like,
as good of a defender as he is.
I don't, and that's why I don't see it. I know that the other trade that seemed to make some sense was him going to Portland, not for Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard ain't leaving for Ben Simmons. That's not going to be a trade. But I was reading idea of C.J. McCollum for Ben Simmons. I mean, obviously, and then the other factor and things around it. But
if I was Damian Lillard and they pulled that trade, I would demand a trade today, like as soon as it got approved.
So you don't think Damian Lillard and Ben Simmons would be a good fit?
No.
So where do you see Ben Simmons now that this trade is out there? Like, what's kind of catching your attention?
He's not gonna. I think he'd be a good fit in Golden State. Only difference, I wouldn't do the trade recommended. I would actually trade Draymond. Just plug and play. Flip him. I think he fills Draymond's role perfectly. He doesn't need the ball. He's an excellent defender. He can start the break. Actually, he can push the break quicker than Draymond, so he speeds up their pace. He's an excellent passer. Moves good without the ball. And he would not need to shoot. So he wouldn't be looked upon. You got two of the greatest shooters of all time on the court with you. Like, nobody's ever going to shoot the ball. But no, pass it so Steph can shoot it.
Yeah.
That'll be the theme. And he can get that monkey off his back. But I don't see it happening. So it's like his pickings are really, really slim. He's not going to get a destination he wants. And with that being said, there's like, I got an interesting one for you.
Okay.
Ben Simmons for Kyrie Irving straight up.
You're talking about
Ben Simmons, Ben Simmons to the Nets. Again, he doesn't need the ball, but he can handle the ball if needed. James Harden can do his things. If you think about it, as great as that three-headed monster is.
They all need the ball.
Right.
Like
so you eliminate one ISO player. Now James Harden can do his ISO thing. We already know KD can play without the ball. Mm-hmm. Ben Simmons can without the ball. James Harden can get back to doing his thing.
Not playing defense.
Exactly, because Ben Simmons can. And that, again, everybody's concern with the Nets is their defense. Ben Simmons improves that. Kyrie going to Philly, he can ISO ball his life away with Embiid on the post. Finally having a big man he can dump it off to, and Embiid can play from the outside. So that pick and pop, pick and roll with Kyrie and Embiid, oh my God.
And Tobias Harris.
Yeah.
And Tobias Harris.
I think it's a win-win for both teams.
Is there enough trade value? Like, is there enough cap space? Is there enough?
Yeah, their contracts line up.
That would be a good trade. I could see that working way better than Golden State or Portland. I don't know if they'll pull the trigger on that. The Nets organization.
Because, KD went to Brooklyn because of Kyrie.
Right.
Or they decided to go there together, whichever one you want to go with.
Right. So it would be a better fit. I don't see it happening. I feel like, agreeing with you, I think that the Sixers, they waited too long. I think that they overplayed their hand. They definitely thought they'd get way more value from him than they could.
Absolutely.
And I feel like now they need to come down off of what they're expecting to get from him. Because a lot of teams are looking at him, and he didn't do himself any favors in the playoffs. He dropped from 60% free throws, which is already abysmal. For 60% is embarrassing for Shaq. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what Shaq shot from the free throw line, or around there. And it was like, he's atrocious.
But he made him when he needed him.
Ben Simmons don't even make him when he needs him. You know what I'm saying? And you went from 60% down to 34% in the playoffs.
Right.
As a free throw shooter. We're not talking about shooting threes. Free throws. The easiest literal part of the game. And you have a batting average at it. Like, without, some Jacob deGrom throwing you 100-mile-an-hour sliders. And you're shooting 34%. Get out of here. And so he's not doing himself any favors. He's so immature, in my opinion. I feel like Ben Simmons is an extremely immature human being. And I'm just saying, watching his behavior over the course of his career.
Kardashian or Jenner.
Either way, we know there's poison in the water.
He's in the clan.
Yeah, and we see what happens. They spit him up and kick him out. I mean, Blake Griffin lost 2 years of his career after dating Kendall, and then he got moved down and was like, "Oh, I can dunk again." Like, he remembered he could dunk. Like, yeah, you're still alive. Ben Simmons is running down the same route, and it's like, that air of ego and arrogance, and it's just like, I don't need to get better.
Right.
For a lot of teams, it's like, when you're saying there's the straight up for Draymond trade, I'm cringing at that, because he's a better, if you just go, if you just look at their skill set, absolutely, you're not losing anything.
Right.
What you are losing, and I am not a Draymond Green fan, but you're losing a phenomenal leader. Everybody is even admitted. Steph Curry, Steve Kerr, even Kevin Durant, when they was talking about why he left, is because everybody knows that the vocal leader of the team, the heart and soul of that team, isn't Steph Curry, it's Draymond.
Right.
Steph Curry is the leader. Like, Steph Curry is 100% the leader, and that's his team, but Draymond's the heart. Yep. And it's like, you take him out and replace him with a dude who won't put in work, who has no leadership skills, who's shown no interest in getting better as a player, and that's who you replace him with. Yeah, he has all the same talent skills, but he's a shitty leader. He's not ready to step in. And you think Steph or Steve is going to put up with that?
Yeah, but that's when as a GM, I pull Steph.
Or Bob Myers. Bob Myers going to be like, yo, get out. Get him out.
I pull Steph into my office and say, look, we just cut you a check for $200 million, son.
Another check.
Yeah.
On some DJ Khaled. Another one.
I'm gonna need you to be the 10 man to get this heart.
Yeah.
You're the heart. Look at me. You're the captain now.
but I'm saying, what as much as I hate Draymond for his antics on the court at times, it's also that you can't expect Steph to go and get in somebody's face and like,
again,
ruffle some feathers.
200 million reasons why you better.
I'm sorry. There's dudes in the NBA that know, despite his size, you ain't trying to fight Draymond Green. Ain't nobody trying to fight, Duncan.
Except Tristan Thompson.
But even at that, you say, if you step to Draymond, he's the type of dude that'll pop you back. Like, this is going to be a fight. Steph Curry is not intimidating no person on the planet. Steph Curry couldn't scare his kids. Nobody's gonna take Steph Curry can't get in nobody's face and
I was about to say something.
Being intimidated.
But I'm gonna leave it alone. And on that note, you want to take us out, man?
All right. So we're going to get into on the next episode of The Next Man Up on episode 4. We're going to be discussing fantasy football.
And our playoff predictions.
And our playoff predictions. Fantasy football, we're going to touch on briefly because, again, if you guys haven't already gotten into your fantasy leagues at work, or if you guys are having a late draft, we'll have some ideas for you. But yeah, a few thoughts just in case you guys are running a bit late on the fantasy football. We have some ideas on players that will be sleepers. And then, we'll get into our week 1 predictions, our playoff predictions, where we think or expect certain teams to finish up. Wanted to thank you guys again for all the support, for tuning in. We've already gotten some really great feedback. Really wanted to thank you guys for that. We hope that it continues. We hope we get more subscribers. If you liked what you saw today, if you liked what you heard, please hit that like, subscribe button. You can again find us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, wherever you find your podcast. We thank y'all so much. Again, tune in for the next episode. We'll be discussing everything we just went over. Go ahead.
One more brief thing before we get out. Our thoughts and prayers are with the people in New Orleans.
Absolutely.
Dealing with Hurricane Ida. I know a friend of mine, his family's down there. One of my friends from the Air Force.
Yeah.
But he let me know his family's okay. So, but yeah. Anybody who can help anybody who's in that situation, please do it. And everybody, please be safe.
Absolutely. Again, the thoughts are out to everybody that's dealing with Hurricane Ida down in New Orleans. Also, along that same thing, I want to reach out some hope and some concern for people that are up in Northern Nevada and Northern California with the fires that are going on up there that's ravaging Lake Tahoe. Again, I'm a Reno boy, so for everybody up there, please be safe. I know that it's been, the clouds are just like orange and covered in smoke, and it's hard to breathe, and it's a scary time. So please be safe. Everybody in Northern Nevada and Northern California, please be safe. And in the meantime, not to sound heartless, but while y'all are hopefully in home being safe, you guys can tune in to these episodes, hear what we got to say. Maybe we can bring a little bit of joy, a little bit of happiness to some bad situations around the world right now. Where that's all we're hoping to do is make your day a little bit brighter. If we did that, please again like, subscribe, and tune in to the next one. Again, we love the comments. Oh, shout out Susan Whitwicky, I believe was Whitwicky was one of the comments. I'm sorry, I tasked you with it. For writing in her comments, she wanted the 1976 Raiders.
67.
No, she adjusted it. She adjusted it. I went back and looked. She adjusted it. I believe it was 1976 Raiders. So again, thank you. That's a shout out to you. Appreciate you writing down in the comments who you thought should have made our list. Again, when it comes to anything, when it comes to these, please, we love your comments. We love hearing what you guys think. We're trying to bring you the content that you like. Like, subscribe, and tune in for the next episode of the Next Man Up Sports Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Shaka. This is my guy, Bobby G. Thank y'all. We love y'all, and take care.
Peace.